Episode 8, My First Trip Abroad A1 Level. Hello everyone, and welcome back to this English podcast for beginners. In today's episode, I am going to tell you about my first trip abroad. Traveling to another country is an exciting experience. It gives us the opportunity to see new places, meet new people, and learn about different cultures. For many people, traveling is also a chance to practice English in real-life situations. Before my first trip abroad, I felt very excited. I had never traveled to another country before. I spent many weeks preparing for the journey. I checked my passport, booked my flight, and packed my suitcase. I also prepared my English. I reviewed common travel phrases and useful vocabulary. I knew that I would need English at the airport, at the hotel, and when talking to people. As the travel day arrived, I woke up very early in the morning. I was excited, but I was also a little nervous. Traveling to a new country can feel scary at first because everything is unfamiliar. I arrived at the airport several hours before my flight. The airport was very large and busy. There were many travelers carrying bags and suitcases. First, I went to the check-in counter. The airline employee smiled and said, "Good morning. May I see your passport, please?" I replied, "Yes, of course." I handed over my passport and ticket. The employee checked my information and gave me a boarding pass. Then she said, "Your gate number is A12. Boarding begins at 9:30. I thanked her and continued through the airport. Next, I went through security. Security procedures are important because they help keep everyone safe. After security, I looked for my gate. Airports can sometimes be confusing, but there were many signs to help travelers. While waiting for my flight, I sat near the gate and watched people around me. Some people were reading books, others were talking with friends and family. Soon, an announcement came over the speaker. Passengers for Flight 115 may now board the aircraft. It was time to get on the plane. I joined the line and showed my boarding pass. A flight attendant welcomed me onto the airplane. "Welcome aboard," she said. I smiled and found my seat. This was my first international flight, so everything felt exciting. As the plane took off, I looked out the window. The city became smaller and smaller until it disappeared beneath the clouds. During the flight, I listened to music, watched a movie, and practiced some English vocabulary. After several hours, the pilot announced that we were approaching our destination. I looked out the window again and saw a beautiful city below. Soon, the airplane landed safely. After leaving the plane, I followed the signs to passport control. An immigration officer asked, "What is the purpose of your visit?" I replied, "I am here for tourism." He asked a few more questions and then stamped my passport. "Enjoy your stay," he said. I thanked him and continued to the baggage claim area. After a short wait, I found my suitcase. Then I left the airport and looked for transportation to my hotel. Outside the airport, there were buses, taxis, and trains. I decided to take a taxi. I approached a taxi driver and said, "Hello, can you take me to this hotel, please?" I showed him the hotel address. "Certainly," he replied. During the ride, I looked through the window and admired the city. Everything seemed different from my home country. The buildings, the streets, the signs, and even the way people dressed were different. When I arrived at the hotel, I entered the lobby. The receptionist greeted me warmly. "Good afternoon. How may I help you?" "I have a reservation," I replied. The receptionist checked the computer and found my booking. She handed me a room key and explained where my room was located. My room was comfortable and clean. There was a bed, a desk, a chair, and a window with a nice view. After resting for a short time, I decided to explore the city. Walking through a new city is always exciting. Every street seemed interesting. I saw shops, restaurants, parks, and many people from different backgrounds. At lunchtime, I became hungry and decided to visit a restaurant. When I entered, a waiter welcomed me. "Good afternoon, table for one?" "Yes, please," I replied. He showed me a table and gave me a menu. Some words on the menu were unfamiliar, but I understood most of them. I ordered a simple meal and a drink. The food was delicious. While eating, I listened to conversations around me. Many people were speaking English. At first, it was difficult to understand everything, but I recognized many words and phrases. This made me feel proud because I realized that my English was improving. The next day, I visited several famous places in the city. I took many photographs and learned about local history and culture. At one museum, I asked an employee, "Can you tell me where the art gallery is?" She smiled and pointed in the correct direction. These small conversations helped me gain confidence. Each time I spoke English, I felt a little more comfortable. One afternoon, I became lost while walking. I was not worried because I knew I could ask for help. I approached a friendly-looking person and said, "Excuse me, can you help me? I am looking for the central station." The person smiled and gave me clear directions. A few minutes later, I found the station. This experience taught me that speaking English can be very useful when traveling. During my trip, I also met people from different countries. Some were tourists like me, while others lived in the city. We talked about our countries, our hobbies, and our travel experiences. Even though our native languages were different, we could communicate in English. This showed me how English connects people from around the world. One evening, I joined a small city tour. The guide spoke English and explained many interesting facts about the city. I listened carefully and learned new vocabulary related to history, architecture, and culture. Sometimes I did not understand every word, but I understood the main ideas. This is an important lesson for language learners. You do not need to understand every single word. Focus on understanding the overall meaning. As the days passed, I became more confident. I ordered food, asked questions, bought tickets, and spoke with local people. Every conversation was a learning opportunity. I noticed that people appreciated my effort to speak English. They were patient and helpful. Most people understand that language learners may make mistakes. Because of this, I became less afraid of speaking. One of the most memorable moments of the trip happened in a small coffee shop. I started a conversation with another traveler. We talked for almost 30 minutes about our travels and future plans. I was surprised by how much English I could use. Of course, I made some mistakes, but communication was successful. That experience increased my confidence significantly. Traveling also taught me the importance of preparation. Before the trip, I learned useful travel phrases such as, "Where is the nearest station? How much does this cost? Can you help me? I would like to order this. Thank you very much." These simple phrases helped me in many situations. Sometimes language learners think they need perfect English before traveling. However, this is not true. Even basic English can be extremely useful. The most important thing is having the courage to communicate. Mistakes are normal. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. At the end of my trip, I felt grateful for the experience. I had visited beautiful places, met interesting people, and practiced English every day. Most importantly, I discovered that language learning becomes more meaningful when it is connected to real experiences. Books, videos, and podcasts are excellent learning tools. However, using English in real situations creates powerful learning opportunities. When I returned home, I felt more motivated than ever to continue studying English. My trip showed me that learning English is not only about grammar and vocabulary. It is also about communication, confidence, and connection. Since then, I have continued practicing English every day. I read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos, and speak whenever possible. Every day brings a new opportunity to improve. If you are learning English, do not be afraid to use it. Speak even if your sentences are simple. Ask questions even if you are nervous. Practice even if you make mistakes. Remember that every fluent speaker was once a beginner. Learning a language is a journey, and every small step matters. Before we finish today's episode, I would like you to think about these questions. Have you ever traveled to another city or country? Would you like to travel abroad in the future? How can English help you during a trip? Try answering these questions in English. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this story and learned some useful English vocabulary. Keep practicing every day. Stay patient and believe in yourself. Your English will improve little by little. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.